Hello, I'm Anthony Dawson. I am the museum manager here at the Foxfield Railway, and today we've come down to the Foxfield Colliery, the raison d'etre of the Foxfield Railway, because Foxfield have been awarded, thanks to the Association of Independent Museums and the generosity of National Lottery players, £9,500 to enhance and redevelop the displays and exhibitions here at Foxfield Colliery, telling the story of coal and coal mining. These are the historic Foxfield Colliery buildings, and we'll start off by looking at our pièce de résistance, which is the downcast headstocks. As we come into the downcast headstocks, you'll notice the narrow gauge tubway. Each colliery had its own gauge of tubway for its own mine tubs. That's to prevent the neighbouring colliery from stealing each other's mine tubs. And at Foxfield, this is 21.5 inches gauge track, so we're looking at approximately 20-inch gauge coal tub. And these coal tubs are used below ground and they were used above ground. So we'll now take a look in the downcast headstocks, which was the main working shaft, the main working level at the Foxfield Colliery. Until 1863, mines weren't obliged to have more than one shaft. In 1863, the law was changed, which said that coal mines had to have two shafts for two reasons: one, for ventilation, and two, for emergency access. And the downcast shaft is called the downcast because this is the shaft down which the air to ventilate the mine was drawn. Its neighbouring shaft is called the upcast because, very imaginatively, that is the shaft which the air came out of. Foxfield Colliery began in 1879 when two shafts were trial sunk on 3 fields known as the Fox Fields. In April 1880, John and Enoch Mann, a father and son team from Liversedge in West Yorkshire, took out a lease on the Fox Fields and the shaft. This is the oldest shaft on site. It is 12 feet in diameter and it's brick lined, and it is 240 yards deep. It goes all the way down to the best coal in the area, called the Woodhead Seam. In the shaft was a double-decker cage, and there were 2 cages in here, and you will notice that in the headstock building itself, it's on split levels. So you'd have coal tubs coming in at the bottom level as empties, and at the higher level they were full tubs passing out through the building and then over a high level tubway to the wash plant and to the screens. The downcast shaft was the main working shaft, so that meant men and coal came up and down this shaft. In case of emergencies, they would escape through the upcast shaft. This concrete headstock was built in 1945, and you can see embedded in this early Victorian handmade brick structure here, the original timber headstock from the 1880s. Having looked at the downcast shaft, we're going to take a look at the upcast shaft, which was vital in the safe operation of the colliery, as this was the emergency exit, and it was also where the air came out of the mine, drawn by an enormous electric fan. The concrete headstocks were built in 1934, and the wheel at the top is 8 feet in diameter. The shaft is smaller than the downcast. It's only 10 feet in diameter and it's 237 yards deep. Originally, you wouldn't have been able to see in here. This would have all been a concrete wall. If you follow me over here, we can see how the upcast shaft worked. So the upcast shaft was slightly pressurized because of the fan drawing the air through the colliery. So in order to access the shaft, there were airlocks like this behind me. This was the airlock used for the miners about to descend the shaft, and the smaller airlock in front of me was the exit used by those miners leaving the shaft. There was a single circular cage supported on 4 wires running in the middle of the shaft, and it was only used for men, and in emergencies coal would never have been worked up the upcast shaft. We've now looked at the upcast shaft, but another important building on site was the winding engine house, which housed the steam engine which worked the ropes to pull the coal miners up and down from the shaft. We're going to take a look now at the overhead tubway, which carried the coal tubs from the downcast shaft overhead through the screen and washing plant at this high level above me, over to where the coal would be tipped into the waiting coal wagons to be taken by the Foxfield Railway to the exchange sidings at Blythe Bridge, and from there Foxfield's coal would be transported around the country. With the help of our lottery grant, we'll be able to carry out improvements down here at the colliery. It's looking a bit of a mess at the moment, so volunteers are going to come down and start really giving this place a spring clean. Funding will also be used to create new displays and interpretation panels, both on these historic colliery buildings, but also up at the interpretation centre and in the paint store, where you will come into the colliery site, where we're creating new displays, interpretation panels, and putting together a handling collection to allow you to get hands-on with the tools and the equipment used by coal miners used here at the Foxfield Colliery. Previous funding for the colliery has allowed us to build a new toilet block and to do some considerable maintenance work on the downcast shaft. This building alongside me was the control office for the overhead tubway, and you can see the remains of the overhead tubway as they were left when the Foxfield Colliery closed in 1965. It was capable of carrying 120 imperial tons of coal an hour. If you would like to find out more about the historic Foxfield Colliery, make sure you are subscribed to the official Foxfield Railway YouTube channel, where we're providing more content exploring the history of coal mining around Foxfield, the history of the Foxfield Colliery, and also some of the experiences of the men, women and animals who worked underground here at Foxfield until 1965. If you would like to donate your time or your money towards our Foxfield Colliery project, you can do so by clicking in the link below. And we look forward to welcoming you for a tour here at the Foxfield Colliery in the not too distant future. Thank you.